All right, let's continue our conversation about appraisal gap strategies. And if you haven't watched the previous video yet, go back and watch it because this video is going to really build upon where we left off in the previous video. So I want to pick up where we were talking about rent. And this scenario is going to assume a buyer only has 10% down, whereas the previous scenario assumed the buyer had 20% down. So everything I'm about to show you has some form of monthly MI in it. Mortgage insurance. And mortgage insurance has a bad reputation because everyone's like it's a waste of money. And I used to think the same thing. It's a waste of money. It's a cost of doing business. But if you look at it from the fact that you're paying $2,500 a month in rent and you're throwing away $60,000 every 2 years, so you got a burn rate of $30,000 per year. And in 5 years, you're going to have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Whereas the strategy I'm about to show you, even at the worst case scenario, you would have a net worth of $163,000 because of the benefits of mortgage insurance. And this all plays into our appraisal gap strategy. So I wanted to show you that before we jumped into these numbers. Now, just like we normally do, our regular purchase that we like to model with, $550 purchase price. In this case, 10% down instead of the 20. And then we have our loan amount of $495, rate of 7%, fully escrowed payment of $38.52, and our cash to close is $64,180. This column right here, this row right here, don't pay attention to it because it will make absolutely no sense until the very end. So ignore these numbers. So you find that perfect house, you get the appraisal ordered, and it comes in short. In this case, we're going to show it coming in $30,000 short like we did in the previous video. So now you got to lower the purchase price from $550 to $520. And again, this is because the lending laws require us to do that. The lending laws state we have to lend off of the lesser of the appraised value or the purchase price. So in this case, the appraisal came in lower than the purchase price. We have to base everything off that lower appraised value. So we adjust the down payment to 10%. That gives us a loan amount of $468, same 7% rate. Our payment drops just a little bit because obviously we're financing a little bit less. But the kicker is our cash to close just went up from $64,000 to $90,000. You're like, Mike, I can't do that. There's got to be a better way to do this. So then that's where our strategy comes into play. And we talk about these strategies before we even get to this point. We're going to explain these options to everybody before we even get to this situation so that when it happens, if it happens, nobody's panicking or stressing out over it. So you have the same 520. We adjust the down payment, keep the loan amount or adjust the loan amount to 498, 7% rate. Your payment goes up. Now the reason the payment's going up from 3665 to 4,000 is because we're financing more. We're shifting the down payment to help cover the appraisal shortage. And in turn, your monthly MI amount is increasing some. And that's why you're getting the payment difference. Now, but what happened, instead of you bringing $90,000 to closing, you're now back down to bringing $61,000 to closing, which is back in line with what you were initially thinking you're going to bring to begin with. Now, here's the strategy. Here's the benefit of monthly MI. And even though our payment's gone up, basically $340 per month, if you can swing the money and it doesn't put you in a bind, this is the strategy. Because a lot of people think that over the last 2 years in 2022 and 2023, the market sucked. Well, they don't realize that there's a true housing shortage and home prices have continued to appreciate at a tune of 6% each year. So at that point, if you can buy the house today and start capturing that appreciation, that house is going to be worth approximately $584 in 2 years, 18 to 24 months. You're now going to have an equity position of $96,000. Your unpaid balance is going to be approximately $487. Now, just assuming we're going to drop down to 5% rate. Rates are already dropping. So getting to 5% is not going to be that hard. So this is a very realistic number. I'm also going conservative with this because this payment still has a little bit of monthly MI in it, mortgage insurance, because we're not at a full 20% equity position yet. So we're still assuming the worst case scenario. Now, the thing to point out, this payment of $31.17 is cheaper than what your original payment was going to be of $38.52. So take note of that real quick. Cash to close, you're not going to have a cash to close situation. It actually shows a negative 558. We will position you to skip 2 months payments. We'll also put you into our refinance program where we'll cover the lender fees for you. So therefore, you're going to be able to go in, drop the rate, not have a cost of refinancing, and you're going to have a much lower payment when it's all said and done. All that brings me back to these slides over here, or these graphs over here. If you're throwing away $2,500 a month in rent, that's $30,000 per year. So in 2 years, you're throwing away $60,000. In 5 years, you got nothing to show for it. And at a burn rate of $30,000 per year, that's $150,000 wasted here, and you've got zero to show for it. Whereas if you utilize any of these programs, especially the refinance in 18 to 24 months, you'd be sitting on $263,000 in net worth. Now, 10% of that is, or part of that is your 10% down payment. So some of that's your own money, but at the same time, the rest of it is the appreciation gain and the amortization when you're paying down your mortgage. Whereas with rent, you don't get any benefit of it, which is what this is showing right here. You've thrown away $60,000 in rent in 2 years, whereas at least you paid down the principal on this option, 10 grand, this option, 98, this option, 10,000, and this option, 14,000. So at least that money is coming back to you through amortization of the mortgage. That's the benefit of MI. So don't let the fear of not having 10% or 20% or more to put down. We can make everything work. And then if the appraisal comes in short, there's ways that we can strategize to make that work as well. So if you got any questions, give us a call. Otherwise, have a great day.